Yes, yes, indeed. We are live. We are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment. Views from the 22, Mo Schefter, Germ So True, Vic Jr. We got a lot to cover in a little time. So we're just going to dive right into it. News of the day. First two things: Anthony Sherman and Marlon Davidson, Falcons and Chiefs, respectively, were placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. Doesn't necessarily mean they tested positive. We'll see what comes out of that. Good news, though, is the Titans still nothing new. They actually activated a few guys who were cleared back to play, and they will be getting a few guys back, which we will talk about later. Second big news of the day: Le'Veon Bell. Reports going around that the Jets are shopping him, and they may be even willing to settle for a fifth round or later pick. That is pivotal because Le'Veon Bell is due $6 million for the rest of the year, and you just got to think, okay, well, who's going to be the team that's willing to pay $6 million to a running back for 12 games? For 12 games. So there's a few teams that come to mind for me. First team is actually the most obvious team. Who says you can't go home? Back to Pittsburgh, back to the Steelers. They desperately could use him because he is Le'Veon Bell, and obviously that's where he's had the most success in his career. And Mike Tomlin is a guy who's not going to burn bridges. Mike Tomlin is not the type of guy who's going to just turn his back on any of his players. So I think Le'Veon Bell back to Pittsburgh, if he does indeed end up getting traded, is a very likely destination. Second destination, Tampa Bay Bucks. Now that sounds crazy with all the running backs they have, but let's just be real. LaShawn McCoy is probably not going to end out the season. Keyshawn Vaughn, still a rookie. Ronald Jones, can't trust him on third down. Leonard Fournette, you don't want him to be your third down back. So you bring in Le'Veon Bell and Leonard Fournette. I know that sounds crazy, but clearly the Buccaneers are all in for this 2-year run with Tom Brady. Third team, and probably the best football fit right now, is the Arizona Cardinals. Kenyon Drake is there. That'll be a very, very solid run committee because Kenyon Drake, as fun as he is to watch, as productive as he can be, just to me, he's not your workhorse guy that you want for your football team. So with Le'Veon Bell there, that sets up for a great committee because you do got to factor in the money and all these three guys. I'm sorry, did I say the Buccaneers? The
Mm-hmm.
Buccaneers were fourth on my list. That's the fourth likely destination. Second on my list is the New England Patriots, Tom Brady's former team. Cam Newton, Le'Veon Bell, they got the money. They can use him. That's a almost a perfect football fit right after Arizona or before Arizona, rather. So those are my three most likely destinations. Buccaneers, honorable mention. Three most likely destinations: Steelers, Patriots, and the Cardinals. Fellas, I know Vic doesn't got much to say on this. Germ, anything you want to add to that?
Nothing really to say.
Okay, let's move it right along, Germ, because we're going to come back right to you on this one. Unfortunately, we saw that gruesome injury that Dak Prescott had this Sunday. It was very unfortunate. Tony Romo was all of us watching that live because Tony just said, "Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no," and that was pretty much what I said, honestly, as well. I stood up, I was in shock, man to man, Germ. A couple tears crawled down my eyes. I was sweating from my eyeballs, and it was just very hard to watch. What made it even tougher is understanding his financial situation because he is on a franchise tag, meaning that next year, currently, Dak Prescott is not under will not be under contract for a football team recovering from a broken ankle. Germ, what do you got? What's your thoughts on this?
Let's all taking all facts into consideration. Let's make sure that we or understand before I get done with this. This is not Germ So True speaking. This is Mr. True Man in a false world. So when the world is false, then you need a little truth. So here we go. Number one, taking all things into consideration. If the offensive line was just going to be this bad this year, you should have paid Dak the 40 million that he asked for. That's number one. If we're going to invest money, as good as CD Lamb is playing, he's playing spectacular. He's playing excellent. There's a guy named Cesar Ruiz who would have been a better pickup for that team at that particular spot in the draft. Why? Because he gives you position versatility, gives you a guy to at least play left guard, potentially even center for this team that is in desperate need of interior alignment. Just because you got one guy does not mean that you have the plethora of guys that you used to have. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line went from the best in football 5 years ago to one of the worst in football. Tyrone Smith got older. He got older a lot quicker than we wanted to, but unfortunately, that's injuries. Fredericks was on the pace to be a Hall of Fame center. I mean, I can say those things. And he, unfortunately, we had a blood clot. We had different things going on with him, and he was forced to retire early. It's just been the issue with Dallas was the left guard and the right tackle. Well, now Lionel Collins is out for the season. So you have hip surgery. So you just lost everybody potentially on your offensive line except Zach Martin. Now I understand what people may say is Dak's not worth $40 million, and I'm with you. I wouldn't have paid him $40 million, but seeing the turmoil that this franchise is in defensively, the defense regressed terribly. Every part of the team that was a strength when Dakota Prescott got to the Dallas Cowboys, everything that was a strength is now a weakness. I want us to make sure that we understand. Alden Smith is as good as he's played in spurts. He hasn't been consistent. The defensive line has not been consistent. The linebackers look like they have regressed. The secondary has regressed. The offensive line has regressed. Zeke, unfortunately, he has regressed.
Hasn't been the same player for a while now.
And then we keep drafting receivers. We draft Gallup. We draft all of these different guys. We pay Amari Cooper, but we don't bring in linemen to help the franchise quarterback. We don't protect the franchise, but then we say we don't want to pay the franchise $40 million. So then something like this unfortunate happens, and he's been carried. Bro, they are a historic performance by Atlanta just being terrible from being 0-5 or 1-5 or 1-4.
And this is a situation from a quarterback that is like ranked number one in a lot of categories right now, because he's had to put basically the whole team on his shoulders.
Well, I think that's the biggest point Jerm is bringing home, is that everything that was a strength when he got there is now a weakness. That is as beautiful as you can sum it up, Jerm. And like, I mean, again, just to summarize what Jerm just said, and if Jerm, if you want to jump back in, you got it. But the bottom line from what I took from what you just said, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, the strength has now become the weakness. And whether we think he should get $40 million or not does not matter, and is not a credible opinion, quite frankly. The matter of the fact is, he's your quarterback. He's your franchise quarterback. He's not only the guy that's going to help you win games, he's also the guy that's going to put seats in butts. And he's also the guy why Jerry Jones was eager to get 25,000 people in butts. What's that?
Butts in seats, not seats in butts.
I said what I said, Jeremy. I said what I said, because great quarterbacks will have you glued to your television, to your seats, whatever. Nobody caught it. You're the only one that caught it. Why we had to?
That is true. That there is true.
Hey,
it's like, hey, okay, I know we called a run, coach. I saw the guy wide open. I just knew that. Nobody knew that.
It's the comic relief of it, because I wanted to laugh.
But anything you want to add to that, Jeremy?
But no, just to make sure you fully understood what I was saying. But here's the thing that I also want to make sure that I say now as well. If the Dallas Cowboys moving forward, if I'm Dak Prescott, if I'm Dakota Prescott, I'm not playing for the Dallas Cowboys ever again. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm not picking that franchise again is because you left me hanging in a time in which this franchise, the star, left me in a situation where now I have a situation on my hands where I'm going to be next year without any money. Somebody is going to cheat me now out of what I've earned from what I left on the field before I got hurt. And that right there in itself, ladies and gentlemen, is disrespectful. That is disrespectful to not only the culture of sports, but to the players. Because at the end of the day, without the players, you don't have a product. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to disrespect the player to that extent, I mean, Kirk Cousins, he was lucky to not do those things. But now you don't. Now I start to scratch my head and wonder, maybe that's why Kirk doesn't run a lot. Maybe that's why Kirk stays in the pocket. Maybe that's why Kirk just gets down.
Yeah. Hey, speaking on that, Germ, and I said this on the thread, and people laughed. People thought it was comical. That's cool. We want that. But I was being 100% serious. I have no issues with Tom Brady taking gravity sacks. Okay, there is no reason for him to sit there, watch Khalil Mack coming at him, and just say, "Okay, hit me." You know, say, "Nah, Chief, you got it. I give up." There,
Mhm.
live to see another down. And when you're the quarterback, that you got to live by that mantra more than any other position out there. And I think again, you bringing it home, Germ. Dak is not going to have a contract, and the basically you effed him. Very similar situation to what we saw with Earl Thomas in Seattle a few years ago.
And we spoke on that directly right after it happened.
Yes,
I said, this
yes,
is Earl Thomas.
yes.
And these are things that bro, I cannot get behind
Hmm.
I cannot get behind Jerry Jones
Hmm.
and any part of this organization after what just happened to Dak. As much as I'm not an advocate for Dak, as much as I've been critical of Dak, one thing I am is always gonna be is fair. And that was unfair how he was just treated. That was unfair how he was just done. And I stand for that guy in this particular situation. Dak, I wish you nothing but the best here, brother. I hope you come back stronger and better than ever. I hope you become the best quarterback in football after this, but not for the Dallas Cowboys. I hope it's for the damn Washington FC Washington, or for the New York Giants, or whatever it is. I hope you make Dallas hate you from this point forward, bro. That's what I wish.
Listen, we're gonna have to table this conversation because of we're on a time constraint right now. But we will get back to this conversation. All I'm gonna say to this is, you could put the blame on Jerry. My blame goes to the NFLPA and to Dak's agents. But we'll leave it at that because that's a conversation that me
This,
and Germ
yeah.
had off air, and we will have on air extensively, just so you can see the
There,
views
there's a
essentially.
lot of there's a lot more to talk about with this situation.
A
Very much so.
thousand percent, a thousand percent. Let's move it right along, fellas. Germ, you brought it up. FC Washington. This is a very unique situation that we got going on right here with the Washington football team. On the one hand, if you were to just look at everything from in a vacuum, in a tunnel, okay, we get it, right? But this is real world. There's layers. There's things that are happening behind the scenes. On the one hand, you got the people who say, well, listen, it seems like Dwayne wasn't very mature. He was bragging after a loss. He wasn't putting in the lab hours, and yada, yada, yada. And there's the other guys that say, listen, we know he needed a maturation period. We know he wasn't ready. And we know he's not in the best position to succeed. And this goes mainly to an article that was brought to our attention yesterday. So, Germ, we're going to start with you. What's your thoughts here on this whole situation?
First and foremost, I'm just gonna say it like this, and I'm gonna be real. The Norv Turner tree and everything else like that, that's the tree that we're speaking of here in this situation. That tree, how many Super Bowls has that tree produced? Let's
What tree
start
is
there.
that?
That's Norv Turner, correct? Did we talk about Norv Turner?
Yeah,
Norv
North
Turner?
Turner.
Yes.
I don't.
I don't think they produced any, to be honest. I don't think there's a Norv Turner Super Bowl. He may have played in some big games, but he hasn't produced any Super Bowls. Remember, Norv Turner was one of the coaches for one of those Charger teams that we were discussing during the director's cut the other day.
Yes.
So with those things being said, and with those things being brought to the forefront, this is a situation where they call it nepotism. I'm just gonna call it what it is. You only way you get somewhere sometimes in life, you got to know somebody. And in this situation, Ron Rivera knows the Turner family and is a friend with them, and he has given a person of that tree who has not produced anything worth talking about an opportunity. No matter how many games, now this is all brought up in the article. How many games has this team scored outside of garbage time? You're showing me that they're not producing any points when the game is relevant, or when the game is in the constraints of being a good game, or in the meat of the game. We're only focused on what they do after the fact. Oh, well, he threw for 350 yards. Well, he did that in the end of the third quarter. Bro, at the end of the third quarter, the score was 35-7. The game was over. Did it matter that they scored 21 points? No. That 14 points was scored in a 15-minute period. How about we play 60 minutes next time? the FC Washington, as we call them, have not played 60 minutes all year due to talent, lack of talent,
Mhm.
due to the fact that the quarterback is still young and learning and developing, due to turnovers, anything else that you can talk about. I can vividly remember a possession in which FC Washington got a stop against the Ravens with Haskins on the field and Marlon Humphrey stripped Gibson in the flat. Marlon Humphrey stripped your running back after standing him up by himself. But you're telling me that Haskins is the problem. Oh, he doesn't study hard enough. Oh, he doesn't do. Listen, you don't have the talent. You have one guy who he has 100+ passer rating, a passer rating too, as far as completing passes to, and that's Terry McLaurin. After him, everybody else is under 70%.
Significant drop off.
That's a huge drop off. That means you don't have the talent. So,
Absolutely.
Ron, whatever it is that you're drinking, I'm gonna need for you to pour it out and pour you a fresh cup of something new. Chef got some gourmet coffee for you because obviously you are not on the road that you need to be. True man, false world in the building today, man. We're not about to play with these folks. I'm
As I
tired of excuses.
look, as I take a sip of my gourmet coffee, Vic, is there anything you want to add to this subject?
I mean, Germ touched, every subject or everything that we need. I'll just add, like, there was an article that came out that basically Ron Rivera said he's seen enough of Haskins to the point where he's either on the block or he will be deactivated for the rest of the season.
Wow.
And as long as Kyle Allen and Alex Smith is healthy. So if Kyle Allen cannot play this coming week, Alex Smith will be your starting quarterback. As much as that might be uncomfortable for some of us to see. But just a little bit of what Jern was talking about on the field, man. There's plays, and Dan Orlovsky actually showed some film on this. But there is plays where there's players colliding with each other on mesh concepts. There's plays where they're literally four guys in one specific area, and I'm talking about within the hash marks. There was
Wow.
four receivers, so
Terrible spacing.
yeah, exactly. The spacing was terrible. So you have a situation where the quarterback was immature, but so was your team. The offensive coordinator clearly has a lot of growing to do. So and the players are like in the wrong spot right now. So it's just a complete mess when it comes to the Redskins.
Absolutely. Fellas, you covered it all on that. We're gonna move on. Before we move on to the Saints, we're gonna take audible alert. Vic, we had a post earlier in the Views from the 22 Facebook group. Shout out to all our group members. But this one was from AJ Myers, our Seahawks fan. He had this to say. He said a lot of casual fans are quick to write a quarterback off without considering the fact that head coaching / offensive coordinators can absolutely change the entire trajectory of a career. Coaching can mean the difference between a young quarterback with problems becoming a serious threat or having a career of mediocrity, end quote, or even above mediocrity. He goes on to say that he felt like Mariota could have could have had a better career and could still have a better career if he goes to the right place. Now, personally, for me and for Vic and for Germ, we feel how we feel about Mariota. Just there's a certain ceiling that's there, and it's not that high. And especially now, being an athletic quarterback is not something that means anything. Like it's almost come to the point where it's now a requirement, unless you're just have the pocket brilliance of Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger. But if you notice, all those guys are at the latter ends of their career, so they're probably going to be, well, they are actually now an endangered species. But Vic, I know this topic is very near and dear to your heart, and the topic of where you're drafted matters a lot more than when you're drafted. Your
Right.
thoughts?
So it's just one of those things where like every situation is a different situation, right? So you have a situation with Mariota. It's just like you said, there's just a certain ceiling with him. Um, he mentioned, if he would have went to a coach like Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll, well, those guys are kind of defensive minded coaches. Now they would have put them in a position with some other good coaching to kind of help them. But we could take the Titans as an example, right? So Mariota didn't work out for the Titans, right?
Hmm.
Tannehill didn't work out for the Dolphins, right? But Tannehill went to the Titans.
He did.
So even though Mariota didn't work out there, Tannehill worked out a little bit better for them. So it's just
So
at the
far.
end of the day, yeah. So far, at the end of the day, it's just every quarterback there is a ceiling, and I think Mariota has reached his ceiling, which to me is not great. All right, he's I think he's exactly where he should be, and that's a backup quarterback. And Tannehill himself has a ceiling, which is just not going to get him. It's not going to get him to a situation where like Russell Wilson or Pat Mahomes, where you just want to put the ball in their hands, tell them go out and win it. So it's I understand the coaching. The coaching does play a lot and factors a lot into a team's success, especially at the quarterback position. But we still do have to understand that each quarterback is its own entity, and they each have a ceiling that they have reached. So that's basically as much as I wanted to cover on that.
Well, I think the one thing, Vic, is when you're dealing with quarterbacks, really any players for that matter, but specifically quarterbacks. When you're dealing with quarterbacks, you have to allow for what they call individual differences, and so I think that's a crucial thing is where you go because which coach is going to recognize your strengths and build that around you, and just perfect examples. We've argued a lot about certain players, not argued, just more
Debates,
shared. What's that?
debating.
Yeah, yeah, because we don't really argue. We've had some heated debates
Yeah.
about certain quarterbacks, mainly that 2018 class with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Lamar Jackson. We have had some very heated debates on those guys. And let's leave Lamar and Josh and Baker out of this. Let's just focus on Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, the stains on my quarterback resume career. Let's just focus on those two guys. I've told you this. I've admitted to you. You can have the Josh Rosen. You can put the Josh Rosen stain on me, right? I'll give that up. I'm not going to die on the Josh Rosen hill. What I'm, in the words of Germ So True, what we not going to do is crucify Sam Darnold for being on such an unprofessional team. And Germ can give you a scouting report right now. He's not going to do it, but I know Germ can give you a scouting report right now of the good and the bad with Sam Darnold. And I wouldn't disagree with a single thing. It's just that I wholeheartedly believe he has enough there to become a starting caliber, sufficient, serviceable Pro Bowl, get you to a playoff and win a playoff game type of quarterback. I believe
Mm,
Sam Darnold can be that, and there is
mm,
no film or opinions or anything that you can bring to me that'll change my mind on that. As long as he's with the New York goddamn Jets. And I think that's where this conversation ultimately can lead to, which again we're gonna have to table because these are a lot of quarterback conversations that we can get in depth on. So, fellas, these first three conversations, and I'm sure this next conversation, just stay tuned. We will come at you with film, with blogs, with shows. We might even throw it all the way back and get back to basics and do a podcast on this thing because there is a lot to discuss in terms of quarterbacks and where you're drafted rather than when you're drafted. There is a huge factor, probably the biggest factor, ain't no probably, in how your NFL career ends up. And that's from Josh Rosen to Sam Darnold to Dwayne Haskins to Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. That's just the reality of the situation. Moving on now. We're gonna get to another situation that's this time a little near and dear to my heart, and I'm pretty damn sick of seeing it to be honest with you.
oh
And
boy.
last week I banged my gavel that the Drew Brees decline is officially on. Well, this week, damn it, I'm sentencing Sean Payton and the Taysom Hill package to life. Okay? Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Is it fun to look at? Okay, but it's boring. It's just boring at a certain point. You could see the most finest, beautiful car drive down the street one time and be fascinated by it. But guess what? You see that car every day. You see that car 3-4 times a week. It is just gonna become blind to your eye like a Corolla or an Altima. No offense to Nissan or Toyota. I'm just saying, no matter how many times you see something that looks kind of good, eventually it's not going to look as good. And that's what we have here with the Taysom Hill package. And we have been saying this for about a year and a half now. And I'm going to say it again. As long as the New Orleans Saints keep running this bullshit, excuse my language, YouTube, I'll click the check mark. As long as the Saints keep running this BS, they are not going to win anything of significance. Because at the end of the day, you are taking your Hall of Fame quarterback out and you're breaking up that rhythm and you're putting something gimmicky. And gimmicks don't win in this league. You need substance. Flash and gimmicks don't do nothing but give you fantasy points. In reality, you're going to end up home in February, just like you have been every other year. Now, I'm not saying Taysom Hill is the number one reason why the Saints haven't won anything, but it is a top 5 reason why the Saints haven't won anything. Fellas, anything you want to add to that?
Jeremy,
I sentence Drew Brees to life in the pocket, because if I see you do something stupid again, I'm gonna hit you. And stop holding on to the ball so damn long. You got a 7-Eleven out there. He open, sitting there clapping his hands, 1 foot down, 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. Come on, man. What are you doing?
Swear.
Get it together. And next, I'm with you. I'm tired of the Taysom Hill thing. I'm tired of it, because what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna talk about Lamar Jackson being bad and talk about Taysom Hill not being equally as bad. That's just not what we're gonna do. We're not gonna do it. Go ahead, Vic. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, I mean, listen, I wanted to start a bringing Jameis Winston gift thread yesterday on there. So, some people participated. You on mute, Bobby.
We don't believe you. We need more people.
No, I know I'm on mute. I'm just telling you, keep going. Keep going with that Jameis Winston. Keep going with it.
Yeah, no. Listen. I mean, I think it'll be great to see him. It'll open up that offense again. They'll be able to take some deep shots. Like most stresses, that LASIK surgery was something that it could be something serious. It could be something that'll help him in his career now. So, I mean, let's get Jameis Winston on the field, man, ASAP, because Drew Brees, it's not looking good.
So that lead that you bringing it right back beautifully to me, and we're gonna move on after I conclude with this for this segment. Drew Brees is limping, y'all. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if nobody's reporting on it. I don't care if the Saints try to hide it. I know what I see with my 2 eyes. Okay, Drew Brees is limping. What ultimately ended Peyton Manning's career was a foot injury, plantar fasciitis. Drew Brees is limping, and it looks like it's something with his feet. And why is it called football? Because your feet are the most important part of the game. Drew Brees is limping. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let's move on to the game. Buffalo at Tennessee. Over-under is 52. Tennessee, 3-point. The Tennessee is getting 3 points.
That man got in his bag. Hold on. I had to think. What?
Hey.
What?
That gourmet, baby.
Woo!
That's those espresso beans.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Buffalo, Tennessee, 4-0 versus 3-0. Tennessee being 3-0, obviously we know why. Over under is 52. Tennessee is 3-point home underdogs. We mentioned at the top of the show, Christian Fulton. He's activated off that COVID-19 list. Same with Correa, the edge rusher for the Bills. Quentin Spain, about 30 minutes ago, was announced that he's going to be inactive tonight because of some foot pain. So there's some beef there that's not going to be available for the Bills. Zach Moss, rookie running back, he's also out tonight. And then John Brown, the speedy wide receiver, is also out in tonight's game. And that's significant, him not being there, because the Tennessee defense, especially that secondary, we know they can be very streaky, and we know they can be very opportunistic. So a lot to dive in from a matchup perspective on this one, whether you want to talk about the 2 wide receivers for the Titans versus the Bills secondary, whether you want to talk about Stephon Diggs and whether they're going to put Fulton or Butler or the kid from USC on him. What's his name?
Adoree Jackson.
Adoree Jackson. Thank you, Vic.
Very good, Poppy.
Whether you want to talk about the
Oh,
front seven versus this Bills line, the Bills front seven versus the Titans line, there's a lot of very intriguing matchups in what's really an AFC showdown. Vic, let's start with you. What you got on this?
Listen, I want to start off with my guy Josh Allen. I know you're not a big fan right now, but we're gonna convince you for sooner or later, right? We got a kid averaging 331 passing yards right now.
Mhm.
I mean, for somebody that is running the football a lot, that's pretty good. He's got 15 touchdowns combined, rushing and passing. Tennessee, though they're very opportunistic, they are right now 22nd, all right, versus the pass. So you got Stephon Diggs. Unfortunately, John Brown is out, but we'll see how they're able to, use Stephon Diggs in that passing game. I think that the Bills will do a good job still attacking in the air. But Tennessee is also giving up 5.8 yards per carry.
Wow.
So I think you'll see a little bit more of Singletary. And I think, of course, we'll see Josh Allen running the ball a little bit more. I think the key for the Titans defensively is the way that they can slow down this offense is Jadeveon Clowney, Harold Landry, and Vic Beasley. Those are the three guys that I put on my notes. They need to get to Josh Allen. They need to not only rush him, but also contain him in the edge, let the middle of that defense, which is a really talented front seven, put in some work. So it's going to be a tough matchup for the Titans defense, but I think the Bills will do their. I think the Bills will do some good things today on national TV.
On national TV, indeed. And in case you're wondering, that game is going to be on at CBS, and kickoff should be within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Germ, your thoughts, key matchups, things you're looking for?
first of all, Vic, that's a great start right there. With this team, you can put Beasley and Harrell on the outside edges and allow them to do their thing on the outside and have Clowney spy on Allen. And if you don't see him move, if you feel like you want to rush, then you go. If you want to,
Get him.
you would go get him.
And we know Clowney's very good at that. It seems like a player that's in the lab, studies. So
yeah, it becomes Autobots. I'm in pursuit, and that's what you're gonna see. Autobots roll out. That's what I want to see tonight. I want to see that because the front seven of this team is probably the most talented, one of the most talented front sevens of football, especially when they're healthy. Jeffrey Simmons Jr. Hey man, hit these people in the mouth all 60 minutes, my guy. I want to see you dominate. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dominate. Let's go. I'm hyped for this because tonight, Josh is gonna have to win with his arm. Ooh. And tonight, if Josh wins with his arm, ooh, Mr. Schefter ain't gonna have nothing he gonna be able to say. Ooh. So I want this tonight. Look,
Are you saying he's gonna win it from the pocket, or are you saying you're gonna win with his arm? There's a difference.
I'm saying, okay, that man's gonna win from the pocket and with his arm.
Like he can make plays outside the pocket. There's nobody denying that.
Look, no.
I don't even know what that says. Excited to see my brothers go to war today. Oh yeah, he's not playing.
He's on the COVID list.
He's still on the COVID list.
Why is he not listed on the injury report, bro?
Because he's on the COVID list.
It's on the COVID list, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's on the COVID list.
Well. Here we are.
I saw that earlier and had to confirm it. Yeah.
In total shock. Germ. Oh man.
That's a big. That's why. Because I did see it earlier, and that's why I mentioned Clowney and those 3 pass rushers. Because they
oh, you like that one? That's pretty good.
Dog, listen, I know he's a controversial figure. All right, but that is one of the best musical productions ever. I could sit there and listen to all 22 chapters, and I did on MTV Jams back in the day.
Go
ahead, Vic.
Seriously. But yeah, just to say this real quick, and I'm gonna pass it. I'm just saying this is the game that Josh does have to pass a little bit more. The pass rush will be there. I think this is the quick 3-step drops type of game.
Yeah,
you have to be quick with the football.
Yeah,
you got to get it out. You got to do those little things. Maybe move the pocket a little bit occasionally, get them into a rhythm.
Yeah.
Those type of things. On the other side, real quick, Tennessee, look, we know what you are. I know what Ryan Tannehill is, right? I just want to see Tennessee come out and be able to use both AJ Brown and Corey Davis and make them both look productive. Because the narrative that AJ Brown is better than Corey Davis has got to stop. Corey Davis is one of the most filthy men out there running them routes that we see in football, and he runs all 9 of them, all 12 of them in the route tree, and it just is what it is.
Yes.
So you don't care. I don't care. He was the number 5 pick. I don't care that he was a first round pick and AJ was a second round pick. There is no comparison between the two. We got another drag route Brown right here in front of us, right here. Drag route Kings, and we're not going to be doing that. We're not. And if it's a drag, a dig, an in, or a stick route, that's what you're going to see AJ Brown running this offense, or an over, and the overs are deep overs. So with that being said,
hold on, Corey might be out too on the COVID list.
Oh God,
you lying? I thought Corey was off of it.
He's among the 13 players on the reserve COVID list dating back to the 24th of September. Davis will be out, Humphreys and Batson. Oh my God, why play the game then? Jesus.
And see, you know what, Vic? That's a perfect segue into our picks, because had this game been played as scheduled, I'm just gonna keep it all the way real with you. I was going with the Titans. And I was going with the Titans with confidence.
It's a great matchup.
It's a very good matchup.
If everybody's
I'm still
available.
Be intrigued to see the most intriguing matchup of all to me, out of all the things you guys talked about, and the most intriguing matchup to me is the Tennessee running game versus the Buffalo run defense. That's what I'm going to be tuning in with my popcorn and M&Ms and watching this game tonight. At the end of the day, though, give me Buffalo to win this game 27-20. Germ?
Oh, this is tough, man. Because part of me, my first reaction is to say the Bills lose their first game tonight because of the pass rush. But the other part of me says that I still believe in Josh Allen more than I believe in Ryan Tannehill. So in this particular game, I think that the Bills are a team that can get after the quarterback just as well. They make people uncomfortable. And I think Josh Allen can make more plays from the pocket, outside the pocket, and just in general than Ryan Tannehill. I don't care what you said. I don't care.
We on time constraints. I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut for now. We on time constraints.
I don't care. I don't care, man. Give me Buffalo. Give me Buffalo as well, man. I think I gotta take Buffalo because I gotta show that I still believe in Mr. Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go with Buffalo too, man. Like you said, like it just. The Titans got 13 players out right now. So Corey Davis is a key to that offense. And who knows? I mean, of course, Humphreys as well, who is a very useful receiver. I don't know who else is those 13 guys on the list. Of course, Jeffrey Simmons is one of them. So, I mean, I got to go with the Bills. It would have been a great matchup if everybody was available. I still think it should be a great game. But I'll go with the Bills. I'll go with the Bills scoring 31-20 in this matchup.
That about wraps it up. My apologies to the people in the comments. We are going to get to your comments now. We got like 1 more minute. So let me just read the best comments in here, and we'll get to that. Siobhan led it off with my favorite guys. Shout out to you. She thinks Le'Veon Bell will be back to the Steelers. J-Ham, Trav, I see you. Jorge, I see you. Tanya in the building. Tanya said something that I knew I wanted to read. Oh, she says Mariota is not it, and she was also laughing at who knows how many jokes we spoke, but hey, we here for the entertainment, baby. J-Ham agreeing with you, Germ, with the nepotism and saying that Nerve only won as a contender and he didn't even really win anything of significance in San Diego when they had all those great teams, where, of course, Ron Rivera was the defensive coordinator, as the historian pointed out. And then Corey Davis, as KG said, he is out tonight. And then Siobhan came back and was laughing hysterically at being trapped in the closet. Only trapping we do is between the A and B gap, baby. Views from the 22, The Scene, Germ So True, Vic Jr., Mo Schefter. Enjoy the games. We'll catch y'all later. Don't forget to subscribe.